adventure in London. Eric's mom was never late, but after the last bell at Gatlinburg Middle School had rung, Eric and his cousin Sasha were still waiting to be picked up. She's probably working, Eric says. His mom was a river raft guide at Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Sometimes tours showed up with a warning, and she squeezed them into her schedule. Should I call my mom? Sasha asked. No, it's okay, Eric said. Mom never leaves me stranded. Just then, an old green station wagon pulled up and screeched to a stop. A woman with enormous sunglasses poked her head out. Hop in, you two, she shouted. Aunt Isa, the cousins exclaimed. They had not seen their Aunt Isa since she left for the Amazon rainforest 6 months earlier. She was their mom's youngest and wildest sister. She was always traveling and explored much of the world on her trips. Sorry I'm late. I went into elementary school first. Oops. Aunt Isa asked Eric and Sasha climb in. Your mom's working, so it's just this weekend, she said, waggling her eyebrows at Eric. Eric smiled. As Aunt Isa hit the gas, she looked out a window and sighed. Weekend plans with his mom would have been to postpone again. After taking Sasha to soccer practice, Aunt Isa and Eric headed home. His house felt different with her here, more alive. The radio was playing and the windows were open. And even Arnold, his lazy old dog, seems more energetic. Should we bake brownies? She asked. Blow bubbles, blue volcano. I'm too old for that stuff. Eric groaned and he sank into the couch. I know, Eric said. Aunt Isa squeezed his shoulder. You know your mom would be here if she could. I know, Eric replied, but the weekend was going to be so much fun. Who says it won't be? Aunt Isa demanded, hands on her hips. In fact, I just had the brilliant idea. 10 minutes ago, later, a car honked outside. I peeked out the window. It was a taxi. They must have grown grass, he said. When he turned around, Aunt Isa was lugging suitcases to the door. Wrap your shoes or we'll miss our flight, he said. Our flight? Eric exclaimed. When does Aunt have time to plan a trip? He ran to the door after her. A change of scenery would be just the ticket, Aunt Isa declared, entering the taxi. To the airport, please, and then to London. London? Eric scrambled into the taxi, too. London is in a whole different country. Aunt Isa winked. Exactly. Oh, plane tickets, hotel reservations. Eric asked. Oh, things will work out. They always do. The taxi pulled away. Are you sure this is okay with my mom? Eric insisted. What's life without a little adventure? Aunt Isa replied. It was Eric's first flight overseas, and the view crossing the ocean took his breath away. I can't believe this wheel, he whispered as the plane landed and the pilot welcomed them to London. First, the subway. In London, it's called the Tube. Aunt Isa explained, reading through a turnstile. Eric blinked. Had he even swiped a ticket? A turnstile let him through, too. Maybe Aunt Isa had prepaid their fares. He didn't have time to wonder. A train arrived, and everyone rushed aboard. Somehow, despite the crowd, Aunt Isa grabbed the last 2 seats. A few stops later, they reached a hotel where an energetic bellhop grabbed their bags and led into a room without stopping at the front desk. If Eric could catch his breath, they were back outside at the streets of London. What's the plan? He asked. Why don't we play it by ear? Aunt Isa suggested. They began with a stroll along the River Thames. Tower Bridge, with its sturdy stone turrets, caught Eric's eyes. He stopped by the riverbank to admire it. Fancy lips, called a voice from below. It was a man with a rowboat with 2 life vests on empty seats. It seemed too good to be true, but Eric was beginning to realize that traveling with on Issa led to all kinds of crazy coincidences. They hopped aboard, and the man rowed them up the Thames. Something about this place looked strangely familiar. Now we're beneath London Bridge, the boatman said. A short time later, he pointed. That's the Globe Theatre, venue of William Shakespeare and his famous plays. And this is Millennium Bridge. A bit modern for my taste, I must say. Eric and Aunt Issa hopped out of the next bridge, Westminster. The boatman tripped his hat. Suddenly Eric recognized it. Was that William Shakespeare? Eric asked in disbelief. Oh, he's an old friend. Aunt Issa replied with a smile. Westminster Bridge was beautiful, but the real sight was Big Ben. The tower had a clock face on every side, keeping time for the entire city. Can you believe it still used the 1800s clockwork? Aunt Issa said. Suddenly, Eric had an idea as well as any Aunt Issa. Can we climb it? Yes, I think that can be arranged. With a finger to her lips, Aunt Issa led Eric through the door at Big Ben's base. Quiet as mice, it crept past the dozing watchman, up 300 steps and through another door. Eric was speechless. Among them hung 3 enormous bells in a dizzying web of ladders, congs, wheels, and knobs. While clocks of 12, Eric felt the vibration of every chime, from top of his head down to his toes. The closest thing he could compare to being caught in a cave was Mom during a thunderstorm. Mom would love this, he said as they descended. I imagine she would, Aunt Issa agreed. We should be more behaved this time, Aunt Issa whispered. They were waiting with other tourists to enter Westminster Palace. Don't want to upset your Prime Minister. Eric enjoyed the tour. The palace was beautiful. He liked learning about Parliament debated in chambers, like the Houses of Commons and how people began pensioning the king or queen. It was also interesting to remember that this modern city and country were ruled by the monarch. After dinner, in a small place tucked away in an alley that may or may not have been a restaurant, Eric and Aunt Issa wandered back to the hotel. This whole city is incredible, but Big Ben was my favorite part, Eric admitted. Aunt Issa looked at him with spark in her eyes just as a woman grabbed him first, glided toward them. A scowling boy about Eric's age trailed behind her. My son doesn't appreciate the finer things, but perhaps you will, he said, thrusting a trinket in Eric's hand and marching off. The only boy still in tow. I looked down, astonished to find he was holding a tiny version of the clock tower. It's chipped just like a real one. The next morning, they rode a red double-decker bus around the city, taking photos from the top. Then they had to catch their flight home. And they couldn't believe their trip was already at an end. Once you've been bitten by a travel bug, there's no going back. Aunt Issa warned as they unpacked Eric's suitcases together late that night. So, next time my mom has to work, can we take another trip? Can Sasha come? Eric asked before Aunt Issa could answer. The front door slammed. Mom! Eric shouted and ran downstairs. Hey, buddy! His mom gave Eric a hug. When did you and Aunt Issa get up to this weekend? You won't believe me, Eric began launching into a story of their trip. Just as he finished, Aunt Issa came rushing downstairs. I've got to go, she exclaimed, hugging them both. Thanks for looking after Eric. Sounds like he had quite an adventure. Eric's mom said with a wink. Anytime, Aunt Issa said. She hurried out the door. Don't you believe me? Eric said, but his mom was already walking down the hall. It seems to have a wonderful time. whatever you two were doing," she said as she closed the bedroom door. Eric pulled the tiny clock tower out of his pocket just as it began to chime midnight. Bye.